Good. Okay. The title of this video is, Can you work part-time and be successful as a realtor? My name is Mario Janetpour, and I'm a realtor here in Louisville, Colorado, and I work for RE/MAX Alliance. So I want to talk about, can you work part-time as a real estate agent? And I wanted to read a question here that I got off of my blog from Ryan, and Ryan asks an interesting question. He says, I have a question for you, something I've been battling with a bit. So I've heard the age-old debate of being a part-time agent versus being full-time. Some say part-time is okay. Many feel that if you want to do it right, it must be full-time. My question is sort of the opposite. In your opinion, can you be a full-time agent and do a part-time job to make extra money? And if so, when do you feel would be the best time of the day to do the part-time job, and how many days and hours would be reasonable? I guess my main concern would not being available whenever my clients may need me, and especially missing out on opportunities because I couldn't take a call or something like that. So it's a really good question. I think the question that a lot of people always say is, can you work part-time and be successful as a real estate agent? And I think the answer to that question is no. I think if you only put in a part-time effort and part-time hours as a realtor, you're just not going to cut it. But let me tell you a little story about myself and how I've worked over the years. I remember back in 2004, our first daughter had just been born in 2003. So from basically October, November 2003, all the way until June 2004, I was home with my daughter in the mornings. I was Mr. Mom, like Michael Keaton. So I was at home in the morning until about 1 o'clock. So we did a split shift. My wife worked part-time at her job, half day, and she would come home about 1 o'clock. And then from 1 o'clock until about 7 or 8, depending on what type of appointments I had, I would work those hours. And then on the weekends, since my wife worked Monday through Friday, I would be able to work on the weekends. So if you look at the hours in a day that you can be working with your client, I think the prime time hours are from 9 in the morning until 7 p.m. So basically 10 hours a day. And then for real estate, we work every day. So if you look at 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's 70 hours. So out of those 70 hours, at that time, I was working, not working, it wasn't available. I was taking care of my daughter. And from basically 9 until 1 every day, which was 4 hours. So that's 20 hours I was doing, not available. And in the weekends, I did have to do some kid time. So the reason I want to go through this example in 2004 is because 2004 was a real go-go year here locally, and I did over $160,000 in commissions because I worked really hard all the other hours that I was not available to when I couldn't work with because of my daughter being at home. So all the other hours I was working. I remember from 4th of July, from the 5th of July until Labor Day, that summer I worked every weekend, and it was just full on because it was a really busy year. So let's say in that example, maybe I had a part-time job. Maybe I was working 8 in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was putting in 5 hours a day. That's 30 hours a week. And then I would then go work my real estate and be a realtor for the balance of the time. The question is, when you want to work 2 jobs, how many hours can you work in a week? So for me, that summer, I worked really hard. And then I did it again in 2006. In 2006, the winter until 2007, when our second daughter was born. And then that year, I was taking care of my daughter all day because my wife didn't work a half schedule. So I was doing it until roughly like about 4 or 5 o'clock when my wife would come home, and then I would go do my appointments and work on the weekend. So the good thing about being a real estate agent is that we do have flexibility in controlling our schedule. And even now, like last year, I have my daughters now are older, they're 7 and 4, and then I was I'm the the drop-off man and I'm the pickup man. I drop them off at school, then I pick them up after school. So my day is compressed when I'm doing real estate on a Monday through Friday basis. But what I found when I work with my customers, most of them work as well. So Monday through Friday, I'm not doing a lot of appointments during the day. I'm doing most of the appointments after work their time, so 5 to 8 p.m. and then on the weekends. So last year, even putting in roughly 25 hours a week, taking care of my daughters, dropping them off, picking them up, taking them to their activities, doing this, doing that. The days off, I would be with them. And then still last year, I still did over $100,000 in commissions, and it was a good year for me. So I just feel that if you want to work a full-time job and then be part-time as a realtor, you can't cut it. But if you can do it in a part-time capacity in a job, and Ryan, you asked about the hours. The dead time for me during the week is usually the morning until early afternoon. And then nowadays, with smartphones, we've all got iPhones and Androids and all these kind of things, Blackberries. So we can be in touch with our customers via email, and then wherever you are, you can have access to your email. 95% of the communication that I do with my customers today is done through email. I don't hardly talk to my clients on the phone anymore. It's either email or we do face-to-face meeting, going out looking at properties, doing contracts, listing meetings, meeting at the house. So I just don't talk on the phone that much anymore. But the other point I want to make here is that you have to make sure that if you're doing two jobs, you got to make sure you've got the focus. So for me, when I was taking care of my first daughter, Rhea, it was hard for me because first time dad and doing all this stuff, the diapers, the feeding, when they're young. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of work. I mean, I would have gladly gone to a traditional corporate job and work in the office and have my coffee and read the internet in the morning. That would be great. But taking care of a little one, it is work. It is hard. So I didn't have the focus, but I was still able to stay on top of my game. And if you're good at what you do, and if you can focus on your clients and stay organized and do a good job, you can definitely do it. So I hope this helps, Ryan. The last point I wanted to make also, as I was thinking about this at the gym today, it also depends a little bit on your transaction size. So if you're doing a lot of transactions to be able to get to 100, 150,000, 200,000 in commissions, then it might be a little bit harder to work this type of structure that you're asking about. But if the average sale price that you're working on is a little bit higher, and let's say you can close 15 transactions in a year, and that represents $125,000 in commissions, then I think you can make this work. But if you have to close 60 to 80 transactions to make 100K, in that model, it won't work because you just have to put in a lot more time and energy to manage all those transactions throughout the year. So anyway, kind of rambling here on a couple of points, but I just wanted to kind of answer your question because I think it is a good question. And good luck in what you end up doing, and thanks for the question. Bye-bye.